All right, so we're diving into some really fascinating stuff today. We're talking OCD, and let me tell you, your questions about it really got me thinking. Like, seriously, this deep dive is gonna be good.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you brought up the phrase obsesiones y compulsiones
Yeah.
from what you shared,
Yeah.
because I mean that really gets at the core of what we're talking about here.
Right.
It's not just about being like super organized or anything like that.
Right.
It's about these like unwelcome thoughts, these fears
Yeah.
that just kind of pop up, and how those things then drive a person to engage in these repetitive behaviors.
And what really stood out to me from what you're saying is how these obsessions and compulsions, they really can interfiere en las actividades diarias. They can really mess with your everyday life. It's not just in your head.
Absolutely. And, that actually leads really well into your question about OCD being like an invisible condition.
Hmm.
And it's true. Not every compulsion is something that, people are going to see. Like take, for example, someone who has this need to mentally replay conversations over and over and over again, just to try to like neutralize some perceived mistake that they made. Now, someone looking at them wouldn't see that happening, right? But it's consuming their time, their energy. It's a real struggle.
Yeah, it's like this secret, this weight that they're carrying that nobody else can see. And it makes me think about that phrase in the excerpt about transmitir tranquila al cerebro. Like they're looking for a way, anyway, to quiet those thoughts, even if just for a little bit.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to remember that OCD is not just some quirk, right? It's a diagnosed disorder. That word trastorno from the excerpt, that's significant. It's not just that someone likes things a certain way. This is about how their thoughts and behaviors, which by the way stem from biology, from their genetics, even their environment, all these things come together and impact their life, their real life.
And I think a good example of that impact is, imagine someone who washes their hands compulsively. We're not talking about, washing your hands before you eat. We're talking washing their hands for hours every single day, so much that their skin is cracked and bleeding. They're late to work because they can't stop washing their hands. They're avoiding, going out with friends because they don't want to have to deal with it. I mean, at that point, it's pretty clear that it's more than just, being a little OCD about things.
It absolutely is. And that actually connects back to your question about the workplace. I mean, could OCD impact someone's job? Yes, definitely. But the good news is there's support out there. There are accommodations that can be made. If someone feels comfortable enough to speak up at work, it can make a world of difference. The excerpt mentions how OCD afectar gravemente, how it can seriously affect someone, but it doesn't have to be this completely debilitating thing. With the right help, the right treatment, people can and do live really fulfilling lives.
So, if there's one thing to take away from all of this, is that OCD is not just about quirky behaviors or being organized. It's a complex mental health disorder that can have a big impact on a person's life. But how we as a society talk about it, how we understand it, how we support the people who live with it every day, that can make all the difference in the world.
I totally agree. And I'm thinking about everything we've been talking about. It makes you wonder, is there a difference in how we see people, how we treat people, whose compulsions are visible versus those whose compulsions we can't see? It's a tough question, and honestly, I don't think there's an easy answer.